thank you, Linda. And I want to thank Linda and Ron for inviting me to come and speak with you today, and really appreciate the opportunity, and think that what the coalition does is fine and fantastic work for the nation's coal miners. And we're convened here on September 11th, which I think very fittingly Ron decided to ask us all to take a moment of silence, and it was a very tragic day in our nation's history. And I think that you can kind of dovetail with that, the 76,000 or so known miners that have died as a result of black lung, which is also a national tragedy. And I think what you do to try to help the miners and give them the support that they need is fantastic. And you're definitely a kind of a voice in the wilderness, and it's a great thing that you've been able to pull everybody together. And we stand behind you and believe that these gentlemen and ladies and their families deserve the dignity and care and respect that you offer to them. So we thank you, and thank you for letting us address you today. I have a slideshow just because we thought that we would go through a little bit about who we are, for those of you who may not know. The Division of Coal Mine Workers' Compensation, better known as Black Lung, we are part of OWCP, which is the Office of Workers' Compensation Programs. And basically what we do is really, really great because we get to help people. The whole organization is set up to help injured workers, to help people who are made ill on the job, to help survivors of injured and workers who are killed on the job. And so we do some really, really good things, and I think that it makes you kind of feel good to get up in the morning and come to work. And there aren't a whole lot of jobs where you can feel that way. So I feel very fortunate to be involved in that, and I feel really honored and humbled to be a part of what you guys do. So that is a little bit about who we are. We administer the law as best we can. Of course, there are a lot of drawbacks. It's clearly a very adversarial program, and we do our level best to try to make sure that the playing field is level and to give the miners the best possible opportunity to prevail in their claim. We have a lot of dedicated folks, 8 district offices, and I've been out to meet with pretty much all of our claims staff, and I'll be touring the rest of the offices later on this week or next week, and everybody is so dedicated to the cause, which is really a wonderful thing. We have people who, I was able to give out some service awards, and the average years of service was 35 years, and that's a lot of dedication. And these people don't want to retire. I mean, they want to keep at it, which is fantastic. And so you can really feel the level of enthusiasm. And so we are definitely committed to helping the miners and implementing the law. We also have some great partners. We have MSHA, and Joe Main will be here tomorrow. And he is, if any of you have heard Joe talk, he is very passionate. He is a friend of the coal miners, and he is very much behind what we do and what you guys do. One of the things, too, that's kind of interesting if you think about it, going back to what I was talking about on 9/11 and the remembrance of the coal miners that have given their lives in the work and service of the country, most of the electricity in this room, I would wager, is coal-powered. The country and our civilization is based mostly on coal. So these folks are really national heroes as well. And I believe that if Joe were here, he would certainly echo those sentiments. We also have help from NIOSH. We have a lot of folks here from NIOSH that I've seen in the audience, and they help us as a scientific advisor and help us with evaluating issues that we might have to make for rulemaking to ameliorate some of the issues that are present when we find for to keep abreast of current and ongoing science. And we also have Dr. Bob Cohen. Is he in the audience? No? Is he here? He'll be here tomorrow? Okay. He'll be here today? All right. Dr. Bob, as we affectionately call him, he is, I think that maybe sometimes there's more than one of him. He is doing training for the 413 Being clinicians. He is also going to be helping out with training for our staff because we are committed to do a uniform national effort led by national office itself to make sure that all our claims staff have a uniform training that any kind of evidence that goes before them, they know how to evaluate it in a uniform way. And Bob is a great partner of ours, and we are very lucky and fortunate to have him at our side. Got a little bit of payment data, and all of this is available on our website. And as you can see, the Part B, which is the Social Security part of the program, we paid out quite a considerable amount of money. The highest amount of any state that we've paid is, I believe, the total compensation is in Pennsylvania, $45 million. And that is up to fiscal year 2013. The interesting thing that we're finding, and I think that one of the things that the misperception of the Black Lung program is that it is a program that's in decline. And that is not the case. The Byrd Amendment, which you'll be able to see here, when it hit in 2010, total claims peaked at 7,000. The Byrd Amendment allowed us to probably approve roughly 1,200 claims and that we were able to identify. Now, as you can see, the claims started to go down a little bit. 2013, we were at 5369 in 2012, 6420 in 2013. Now, this year, go to the next slide, we are up to 6170 year to date, and that is at the end of August. So we project that we could be on total to be 7,100 or more for this year, and it is rising. Sorry, it looks like we've got a little bit of a strike out there. But like I said, the surge, part of the reason for the surge is the Byrd amendments. We certainly credit the work of the senator to get those presumptions back into the law. And the other issue, and I think that many of you know this, we'll probably hear some about this throughout the conference, is the state of the coal industry itself. On August 28th, the Washington Post had an article about the economic downturn in Appalachian coal mining, and a lot of folks, when the mine closes, they get laid off, they file claims. And so they come to us, and we take the claim in, and that is one of the reasons for the increase. And also, science is bearing out that there is an increase in black lung as well. And I'm sure that the physicians will be speaking on that later on this week. It is impacting our ability to process our initial decisions. Right now, we are at 231 days to issue a proposed decision in order, and that is down from 219 from this time last year. So you can see that the intake of new claims is significantly impacting our ability to issue decisions on time. But one thing that I would say that speed is not necessarily the best indicator of success for our program's purposes, because I would rather have all the information that's possible to make a strong PDO that is in favor of the miner, rather than to issue it just to make a time benchmark. We have a lot of opportunities to improve. There have been media scrutiny, congressional scrutiny, and we welcome that. We also have an Inspector General audit that's going on. We welcome all of these findings to assist us in making the program better. we issued a bulletin on June 2nd. I think when we were down in Pipestem, this bulletin was issued, and pretty much to give our claims examiners some idea of how to deal with issues that related to Dr. Wheeler x-ray readings. And we are still kind of mending our way through how to deal with those issues. We sent out letters to people that we were able to identify in our database that are still living, that are eligible to refile or to file for modification, and we are vigilantly trying to get those folks the information that they need to be able to get their claim reevaluated. We're also, as I indicated, increasing our consultation with NIOSH. We've implemented a sampling process in all of our district offices, which we are having all of our district directors evaluate every claim that has an indication of complicated pneumoconiosis. And we feel that if we are able to do that, and if we find any doctors that are making readings that we feel that might not be the standard deviation of the norm, such as Dr. Wheeler, we might ask NIOSH to take a look at that for us and determine whether or not that doctor might need some re-education or counseling based upon their scientific knowledge. And we're working on a quality assurance program with them to evaluate that. We're also doing a good deal of training. As I indicated, we hired a national training coordinator to make sure that all of our training is uniform. We conducted a in-depth week-long legal training with our SOL. We have several of our SOL colleagues here in attendance today, and they will be presenting as well. To get to the finer points of the legalities of the law, to make sure that everybody is on the same page. The pilot initiative, we promulgated the pilot initiative on February 24th at the conference that you were at in Washington, D.C. Basically, the idea of the pilot initiative is to try to give a second reading for every minor that meets the Byrd Amendment approval and has contesting evidence that's been submitted that contests the award. And thus far, we have 131 cases total that have gone through, that are in the universe. 51 have gone through the total pilot program. And this means that they went back to the original 413B doctor for an evaluation of all of the evidence, and then we issued the decision. And as you can see, interestingly, 37 of the awards have been upheld, and 14 have been overturned. And that just means that the doctor obviously found something wrong. Now, generally, it's a different reading of the PFT as we have found. But we're doing a good deal of analysis to try to determine exactly what the issue is. And we're monitoring this very closely because we want to make sure that this pilot program has the desired impact. Not necessarily we're trying to get more awards or less awards. We are just trying to make sure that we get it right, because that will also help the Office of Administrative Law Judge when our case gets out of our jurisdiction and onto their docket, that they have a better, well-reasoned decision that we've issued. And generally measures of progress. Once again, we measure a lot of things by how fast we do it. It's taking us about 52 days on average to cycle all the way through the entire pilot. The midterm and long-term goals, basically what I already said. This is designed to try to help the ALJ as much as possible when it gets to their level to be able to have a stronger decision that OWCP is issued. And also, the ALJ has a similar type of program as well, and I imagine you guys might be talking about that. Modernization, I really am not going to spend a whole lot of time on the digital X-ray issue. It is what it is, and we were finally able to get that out. Basically, what this will help us to do is expand the overall pool for physicians that can do rate readings, because the analog technology is rapidly decreasing. We are also, I'm going to get past that. We are also imaging our case files, and that is something that OWCP is doing on all the programs, and we hope in the future, the idea is that we will be able to go to completely imaged files. And right now, if you go into any of our offices, we have rooms almost this big full of huge case files. And that's a big expense issue. It is also a processing issue. And if we can go to a digitized format, we should be able to make it easier for our claims examiners to assist minors, because it will be easier to access the information. We'll also be able to share information from office to office in a much easier fashion. We showed you the spike in new claims. A lot of that is out of the Pikeville area, and luckily all of our offices are more than willing to help each other out, and we ship cases from office to office. The impact on that of timeliness and maybe even losing a case, it takes up to 7 days for the case to get there, get shipped, and for the claims examiner who has never seen the case before, might not be familiar with the issues and the quote operator and so forth. Sometimes it takes up to 7 days just to get the case calibrated back to where it was. With imaging, we can flick a switch and within minutes have a case from Pikeville sent to Columbus or Denver or wherever. And we are hoping that ultimately that would be a big cost savings and for the taxpayers, and also a savings of time for claimants and for our claims staff. And we also have been, hopefully, and we're going to be talking a little bit more with the clinics in the future. We're not quite there yet. And also I wanted to talk to Nadia about this as well. We are going to be introducing a web-based portal for people to be able to introduce medical evidence, to be able to introduce ultimately claim forms directly to us, so that it is an instantaneous type of thing. Now, and I realize with the people that we deal with in the claim community, they might not be that internet savvy, so we are going to have to try to figure out a good way to get this information out to them, and we can work together to try to determine the best way to implement this. And I will say, I was recently in Beckley, West Virginia. The first Tuesday of every month, we send down claim staff from our Charleston office to do claim intake. And one thing that struck me as the director of the program, the claim forms are way too complicated. And I think that they need to be simplified, which is one thing. Unfortunately, we have to go through Office of Management and Budget to do that, but that is an initiative that I brought back with me, and that was the first time that I had been on anything like that in this program. I've only been on the job as a director for a year, and it's been very difficult to get out into the field to meet with the claimants, to meet with our claim staff, or even to come and talk to you folks, because there's so much stuff in Washington to do. And I'm actually, quite frankly, very happy to be in Pittsburgh. So we are, that is something that's really on my radar, because I sat down with several of these gentlemen, and they had no idea what they were supposed to submit, what was important, what was not important. And one gentleman came in and said, "Hey, I'm done. Here's my packet. I'm ready to go." He was getting ready to leave, and I said, "Let me take a look at it. Just give me 5 minutes." And we sat down with him, and he had not filled out everything. Some of the signature lines are in weird places. I think that the claim forms need to be simplified, and we need to come up with a way that we can get them, submitted to us in a faster, more efficient manner. For the future, many of you know Rick Hanna, and he is an institution in Black Lung. He was the district director for our Charleston office for 10 years, and one of the first things that I heard, and my deputy, Jerry Delo, who is sitting right there, heard when we got here was, why did you take Rick Hanna away from us? And my answer to that was, there's only one Rick Hanna, unfortunately. And we needed his expertise, not only from the business process standpoint, but from the IT standpoint, to help us get into the future on information technology issues. We need to be leaner and meaner in these times of financial unrest with the government. We went through a shutdown. We're still under sequestration. We never really know, unfortunately, what our future holds. And we've been trying to hire up this year because we have money to do it, but you never know what the financial outlook is going to be for next year. We're going to be on a continuing resolution again. It's incredibly frustrating to try to manage a program, to manage a government, indeed, in this manner. It's very difficult. And so funding is always something in the back of our mind. One thing that costs a lot of money is technology, and supporting technology, housing technology, the contractors that we have to pay. That is extremely expensive. And Rick we have brought him out of his job, and we are very confident that Carolyn King, who is in the audience, I'm sure, somewhere I saw her, there she is, will be able to fill in and do a wonderful job for her staff, and her staff is committed to provide the excellent service that Rick was providing. But we apologize. This was my decision, but it had to be done, and it has to be done for the future and also for the program, because if we don't do this right, the program will suffer in the future. And if anything can show the claims that are coming in from the folks that are still out there in need of help, this program is not going away. It needs to be bolstered. It needs to be strengthened, and this is a way to do it and to streamline everything so that it works better. And one of the things that we have been front and center with the Deputy Secretary of Labor and the Secretary of Labor is Black Lung program is not dying. It is not shrinking. And if anything, we are going to retool it and make it a leaner, meaner, stronger program. And not that there's anything wrong with the way things have been done, but the world is a different world. And it's not exactly the same it was as in 1978. And paper needs to go away. A lot of bureaucracy needs to go away, and we need to make things easier and streamlined and faster. And those are questions, and I tried to go real fast. I promised my ALJ friends that I would take 15 minutes, and I'm 5 over. I was really flying. Yeah, do you guys have, could you give me a couple seconds? Do you guys have anything? I'm sorry I was going real fast, and I wanted to try to make sure that I gave them a lot of time because they have some substantive issues that they wanted to talk about, and really mine was just kind of a program issue. Yes, sir.
On the Wheeler issue.
Yes, sir.
Wheeler has 3 other people who worked with him, at least during my time as a representative. And there's been silence on what to do with the other 3. Those readings are generally identical, never find complicated either. And, your bulletin is silent on how to deal with them, and it might be an important thing to look at, number 1. Number 2, tremendous mail fraud if 1,100 people were denied based on this. I'd like you to think about looking into a criminal indictment. I think it's an important way to teach people not to do what they did. They had to know it was reason. So that's...
No, I appreciate your question. Insofar as the other Wheelers, so to speak, that might be out there, the department does have that on their radar. The reason why the Wheeler, Dr. Wheeler himself, we were able to kind of single him out, for lack of a better word, is because of some of the statements that he had made to the press that were just very blatant, like he just doesn't believe that Black Lung exists and that sort of thing. We do know that he has associates, and we also know that there are other readers out there that tend not to find Black Lung a majority of the time. That is on our radar. We are, I'll tell you what, the fact that bulletin was issued as fast as it was, that is lightning speed policy for the federal government. Yeah, and so we're proceeding apace, but we have to be very cautious about how we do these things. Any other questions? If you permit me, I want to make sure that I didn't was really flying. And usually I like to. Oh, one other thing that I did want to mention. We have questions and answers, and you gentlemen who do represent claimants. Like I said about the claim forms, there's a good deal of confusion. You have people that might not be used to this type of bureaucratic framework and Byzantine issues that they have to deal with in legal niceties. And we've been really endeavoring to get as much information out. Unfortunately, you get on our website because the website is the easiest way and the cheapest way for the government to get information out to the public these days. So I encourage you to keep abreast of what is on our website and share it with your clients. Same thing with the clinicians. If anyone comes in and they have questions, we have question and answer materials that we are constantly updating for the website to try to keep people educated as to what to do and how to do it, and because it just isn't that easy. We also are going to try to everyone is so busy. We were trying to get together an interagency working group with Nadia and people at IMSHA and NIOSH and other folks at NIOSH. HRSA is part of NIOSH, but to try to come up with more informational pamphlets, booklets, and those sorts of things that we could share with the clinics that you could give to minors when they come in to file their claim. And I think that that's very important. And whatever kind of feedback that you guys have, I would appreciate if you shared it with Linda and she could get it on up to me, and we can take a look at it, because you're the boots on the ground in this thing. And in Washington, we only know what we know, and sometimes that's not that much. And so if you have issues that you're seeing or things that you think that could be done easier, streamlined, better, we would be really happy to hear it, because we want to tear down the walls of the bureaucracy as much as possible. And so, thank you. Sorry, guys, for going so fast. I just wanted to make sure that there was enough time, and the time Nazi was sitting there. So, okay, so I'm gonna turn it back over to Linda. Thank you all so very much, and have a great conference.